everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Coming Back Whole video series. I took a little break over these last couple weeks. I needed to rest and restore, and it was lovely. But now I'm back, and I have a very special guest. I'm very excited to share this episode with you. Today, I have on Stephanie Martel. Stephanie is a trained holistic health coach. She works as a life coach, but she is also an artist. So over the years, she has found a way to combine her passions for coaching and helping others with her passion for art and creativity. And in this episode, that is exactly what we speak about. We speak about creativity, how it can have a part in anyone's life, regardless of if you think you're a creative person, and specifically self-care and the different ways that self-care can be a part of your life and how we can take care of the different parts of our bodies and minds and souls with self-care. So I'm really excited for you to hear from Stephanie. She'll tell you all about herself. Sit back and relax and enjoy. Hello, Stephanie.
Hi there.
How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me today.
Thank you so much for joining me. I am super, super excited about this conversation. We've been talking a little bit, so I kind of know little bits about you, but I'm excited to learn more. So how about we just start with, can you just tell us a bit about yourself and what it is that you do, and maybe how you did come to have this business and this practice and this passion that you have?
Sure. So I do a few things, and I've always done a few things. I'm a person who loves to have a lot of different things going on at once. So one of the things I do is I'm an artist. I started painting about 13 years ago with an abstract acrylics class local to my community. And I started creating some paintings and kind of figuring out my style.
Mm.
Um, and then I also am a trained holistic health coach, which we have in common. We went to the same school, which is cool. I've always enjoyed helping people kind of figure out how to become their best self. So that was something that really interested me. It touched on food, it touched on
Mm.
general coaching, and then, it kind of branched out into other areas. Um, so about a year and a half ago, I started doing life coaching with a nursing school near me. And I help students kind of just overcome any hurdles that are getting in the way of their academics. So it does incorporate a lot of the different things I learned with the holistic health coaching, and also just with my art practice. I incorporate a lot of the creative ways to come up with solutions and self-care and things like that. So it's kind of exciting that it allows me to blend the two worlds, because I really love being an artist and painting, but I can't always do that. And I really love helping people. So it's been a great opportunity to do both at the same time.
Yeah, it's so neat that you've found a way to blend those two training slash passions. I know, like you said, we both went to IIN, and there they teach this concept of primary foods, which are the forms of nourishment that are off our plate, and creativity is one of them.
Yes.
But I think maybe, a lot of coaches that do graduate, if creativity, quote unquote, hasn't maybe been part of their own life, they wouldn't maybe necessarily know how to navigate that part. So I have a question. I know on your website it says you help people become themselves through creativity. I know I've had people come to me that have sort of said, "Oh, but I'm not a creative person. Like, I don't have a creative bone in my body."
hmm
Well, I'm curious what you say to that. And do you think that creativity can or is a part in anyone's life?
I think creativity is a highly personal thing, and I think it's up for a vast interpretation. I think that everybody is creative in a certain way. It may not be the textbook idea of creativity with, paint and paper or paint and canvas or, drawing. Um, I think creativity comes in so many different forms. Like, my husband can't paint, but he's a great cook. And I think being a cook is highly creative.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different things that you can come up with, a lot of different recipes and tastes and flavors. And that is a creative act. So I think that it depends on how you look at it, how you approach things. I think you could find creativity in anything. And I think changing your idea of what creativity is can help you incorporate it more into your life. So if you say, you know, creativity is just a form of your self expression, or creativity is a way of showing who you are, that can kind of reframe how you look at creativity, right? Because you're not saying, like, I have to produce an end product that is appealing to other people, but you're actually saying, like, this is how I'm expressing myself. And that to me is being creative.
Huh.
So I think it depends on how you look at it and what you're looking to get out of it as well.
Oh, wow. That is so cool. That's amazing. I haven't actually really kind of put it that way of finding a way to express who you are. And you're right. Like, what do you want to get out of it? Are you doing it to just sell something and, have a job? Or are you wanting to find a practice, an activity, something that feels good in your bones to make you feel more alive?
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be highly complicated either. You don't have to come up with this elaborate scenario of being creative. It could be something as simple as, doing a different yoga pose every day, feeling how that impacts your body, being creative with how you're stretching your body. Or, creativity is really meant to enhance your life. It's meant to make you feel better. It's meant to help you express yourself. It's meant to show who you are to others or to yourself, even. Um, One of the things, I have a blog, and when I first started writing on it, I was very focused on incorporating self help with creativity, my specific creativity of painting. So a lot of times I was showing how my paintings were kind of influencing my blog, or even my blog was influencing my paintings. And that had a lot to do with what I was going through at the time. Anything that came up, I would give an example of how I felt, how I handled it, and what I learned from it. And then sometimes that ended up in a painting, because I do inspirational art for kids, and the kid in you, I said,
Yeah.
because it does appeal to adults as well.
Yeah.
But it's all about sentiments that are encouraging and helpful. So a lot of times when I would learn something in my life, I felt like it kind of overflowed to create a new painting about it, which was kind of cool. It kind of blended the areas in my life that I really genuinely enjoyed.
Yeah. I think there's something really important to be said about the visceral aspect of it too. I think, we can read fantastic self-help books and see really inspirational quotes and things like that. But I don't know, there's something about whether it's using your hands to cook, like you said about your husband, or
Mhm.
actually put pen to paper. It's like there's networks that get shifted much more powerfully than if we're just intellectually taking something in. Uh,
Sure.
yeah,
I
like
mean, that's the experiential experience, right? I mean, that's how we learn things. You can read things, you can listen to things, you can watch things, but when you experience things, that's when the real learning and the real understanding comes into play. So when you are, incorporating movement with something that you're learning or something that you're beginning to understand, it kind of it takes a different path in your brain and in your body. it's stored in your body. It's like an energy stored in your body as well.
Yeah, that's really neat too with the whole I help a lot of women, figure out more their relationship to exercise, and I do like to use the word movement instead. And there is that really neat difference between doing something that is going to fill you with joy, and I think maybe, like you've sort of said, creativity is a part of that. Trying different ways of moving or trying something new that you didn't do yesterday. Um, it's interesting to think of creating or adding a sense of creativity to a movement practice to make it more enjoyable. I like that.
Mhm. Well, I think also we have to kind of identify the um, the phase that we go through. I know when I was younger, exercise to me was making sure that I was healthy, but also that I was fit and, didn't put on a lot of weight. And, like it served a certain purpose for me. But as I've gotten older, I'm not that old, I'm 47, but as I've gotten older, I've realized that I really enjoy exercise in a different way because it's making me more present in my body. It's making me feel stronger. It's making me feel um, just capable, and I didn't appreciate that before when I was younger because I was so concerned about reaping the benefits, of traditional exercise. And now it's kind of like, doing yoga or going for a nice long walk and just feeling the strength of my heart. It is so much more satisfying now. And I often think it's probably so much better for my body when I'm appreciating it differently like that rather than just kind of grunting through it.
Oh my gosh, yeah, and I mean, I think almost all of us go through that phase where we do go through the exercises, just exercise, and it can take some time to learn the other benefits. But yeah, if we are connecting the different parts of us, I think we can learn about ourselves too. Uh,
Mhm.
it's the interoception, proprioception kind of outside for a walk. How does my body actually feel? Uh,
Mhm.
and how does that make my mind feel? And using our bodies in those ways, I don't know, I think we can learn a lot from creative acts, whether that be cooking, baking, painting, drawing, walking, moving, about ourselves and our needs.
Yeah, and I think that that sometimes can be overwhelming. Like if you don't have a creative practice or you don't know where to start, it can feel like, oh, what are they talking about? Or oh, what do I do? I don't know how that feels or how I want to feel. Um, I even had my own experience with it after having my son. I was so determined to do things right, and make sure he was okay. And I got so lost in being a mother and making sure I was doing everything right that I just really forgot about myself. And I never thought that that would happen to me because I was always into fitness and eating healthy and taking my vitamins and doing my green smoothies. But I slipped into some postpartum depression for quite a while, and I didn't even recognize it in myself because I just thought that that's how you felt. I thought it was sleep deprivation and, just how it was. So when I started realizing that, other mothers were killing it, or it seemed like they were, more so than I was like, maybe this isn't how I'm supposed to feel. And I realized that I kind of abandoned all my self care practices. I was not doing my walks, I was not doing any yoga. I gave up my vitamins. I just like overnight, not overnight, but, over an amount of time, I became so focused on my son, I totally forgot about myself. And I feel like that was such an amazing lesson for me because it really showed me that my practices and my things that I do for myself, even the small movements really work. They really do work for me. And if I stick to, my commitments to myself, I feel good. But if I forget about myself, I don't feel so good. And it's such a simple thing, but I feel like when people get stressed and get into new situations and even this crazy pandemic, the first thing to go is self-care,
Mm,
right? Because we all feel like we're dealing with the craziness of now. We'll get to that later. But what happens is you start creating new habits, and then you don't go back to those old, steadfast habits.
absolutely.
So it was a good lesson for me to recognize that, doing the smoothies and taking the vitamins and taking time for myself, it's not only important, it's vital for my mental health, for my physical health, and for the health of my family too.
Oh my gosh, yeah, we help ourselves and we help others, therefore. I'm
Mhm.
so glad you're talking about this. I did wanna talk about your own journey with self-care because I know self-care is a big part of your coaching and art practice, with the people that you work with, and particularly because I know you have your one son,
Mhm.
and I'm not a mother, but, I feel like mothers have the hardest time figuring out this self-care life
Mm.
balance. I mean, you're taking care of someone else, so how do you have time to take care of yourself? So once you kind of clicked and started realizing, oh, something isn't right here, how did then that journey look for you? How did you start incorporating self-care into your routine as a mother?
Mm. To be honest, I'm still working on it.
Okay.
Um, I think it's a lifelong process for sure, and I only have one, so I know that women who have multiple kids, my hats off to you because it's intense. It is very um, tricky, and in a wonderful way, to balance your own life and their lives. So one of the things that I have realized, there's an artist. Her name is Sark. Have you ever heard of her?
Don't think so.
Very unique art. She wrote some books as well, and I read one of her books. And in the book, she was talking about micro movements, and I was like, "Oh, this sounds kind of interesting." And what it is it basically breaks down any task to the most basic movements. So if you want to clean out your closet and you really want to get it done, you're not going to say, okay, today I'm going to clean out my closet. You're going to say, okay, tomorrow morning I'm going to open the doors to my closet
Uh-huh.
and just do that one micro movement. Okay, so then the doors are open to your closet. So, you know, tomorrow night I'm going to take out one item that I want to get rid of. So it's like micro movements that move you along, because I think what happens is we get overwhelmed with all these different things that we have to do, we need to do, especially if it's not for ourselves, we put other people ahead of us. But if you can kind of break things down, deconstruct them into the smallest of movements, they don't seem like such a big deal and they don't seem so overwhelming. So I've kind of applied that to my motherhood. I don't wait for the big chunk of an hour to get things done. If I have 10 extra minutes, even while I'm eating breakfast, I'll get something done, or I'll do something for myself, or I'll reach out to a friend. I try not to wait. So I think that has been the biggest lesson for me.
Mm,
Um, in self-care is not to wait for the perfect time, but to just fit it in when I can. And to make certain commitments to myself. Like I actually started this new thing. Let me see if I can find it. In the new year, I wanted to start some new habits. So I started writing down a habit tracker.
nice.
Okay? So it's not necessarily for like punishment or whatever, but just to kind of see how how much I'm actually doing and how often I do it. So, I've committed to myself to doing some kind of movement each day, whether it's walking or yoga, stretching, doing water. I have one whole flask of at least of water a day,
Good.
and then do my vitamins.
Hmm.
And that's all I've committed to right now, because that I know the combination of those three things every day are definitely going to make me feel good.
Hmm.
So I think that that is a key part of self-care, is figuring out what works for you.
Hmm.
What what is the specific combination that works for you? Other people may need to, listen to certain music every day, and they may need to talk to their parents, or whatever it is. um, I think that's the key for self-care. We kind of get caught up in the shoulds, and we don't really explore the personal needs of what we have to do.
Yeah, it's so important. I love that micro, what did you call it again? Micro.
Like movements. I
Oh,
mean, I use it every day. I'm like, okay, how can I make this less unappealing? Like, how can I move closer to it?
yeah.
To get it done. So
So we've touched on some kind of physical forms of self-care. I feel like there's a bit of a stereotype that goes around in terms of what self-care is. I think a lot of the times we think it's things like going out and getting a massage or getting your nails done, or things to do with food and exercise. And those things are great, but
mm,
the physical body is only one of four parts of our body. We have our body, our mind, our heart, and soul. And so there's got to be different ways of showing ourselves self-care for those other parts of us,
mhm.
emotional and mental sides of us. So do you have any suggestions or things that you've learned that can be forms of self-care for more the internal emotional or psychological parts of ourselves?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really important to check in with yourself and really treat yourself the way you treat your best friend or your spouse, or the person you love, because it's so easy to put yourself on the back burner. I think in our society in the past, self care was really viewed as, especially for women, I feel like self care was viewed as being selfish. Taking that time for yourself, and, taking a moment to take a breath, or, just watch a show and check out for 30 minutes or whatever it is. So I think that a big part of self care is following your intuition, following that gut. Your gut is like a all knowing brain of you. And I think it's really important to check in with that and understand that you know what's best for you,
Yeah.
no matter what someone's going to say to you. Um, Another thing is setting boundaries with people.
Mm,
That is a great form of self-care, and I think it can be hard now, especially with all the blended, boundaries that are happening. People are at home with extended family, with kids, working from home, going to school from home. It's kind of a wild, wild west at this point. So setting boundaries might be difficult, but you know, even if you have to go into a closet with earphones, you can take, 15, 20 minutes to yourself and set a boundary and say, I need some time. Um, so I think setting boundaries is a great thing for your mental health.
yeah.
Learning to say no along that lines as well. Um, and also just listening to your basic needs. If you're tired, you need to get more sleep. If you're feeling lonely, you need to reach out to someone. It's so easy to kind of let that go for a long time, and then all of a sudden it catches up, and then it's the form of, it could be a panic attack, it could be disease, it could be, um, whatever it is that's your boiling over point. Eventually, all that uncaring for yourself does catch up to you.
Oh, yes.
So it's really important to just check in with yourself. Ask yourself, you ask your kids, what do you need? Ask yourself, what do you need? What do I need today to feel good? What do I need to make myself top priority so I can be my best for others?
Mm,
Um, and I think also what is underestimated is surrounding yourself with people and situations that make you feel good. The we all know that stress happens all the time, and a certain amount of stress is good for your life, can motivate you, keep you moving. But it's important to surround yourself with people and experiences that are going to bring you joy and keep you moving and motivate you, make you feel good. Because otherwise, what's the point, right? What's the purpose of it all?
Exactly. Yeah, those are such great, great reminders. I think for me, especially the boundaries part. And I think, that can be a scary thing for a lot of people to do because a lot of us are scared of conflict or scared of upsetting someone. And the potential of saying, actually, what I need is this can be very nerve wracking.
Mhm.
Um, I finished a book just the other night that talked about what they called human giver syndrome and specifically talking about women. And I think actually even to add another level to that is mothers. This human giver syndrome is in feeling like we need to be providing for others the whole
Mhm.
time. And we need to be kind to them and ensure that everyone around us feels better. But what is that doing to us? And I feel like that missing link is something that you touched on is if we aren't creating our own boundaries, we actually won't be able to be our best selves to help the people that we want to help. And
Mhm.
awareness piece is huge. And then just finding out or learning how to communicate. So, how to say, okay, we're all in this house together all the time. I need these next 15 minutes just to my own. Do you mind if we're just quiet or something along those lines? And I think, it's also if someone sees one person doing that, they're going to feel more capable and brave to do it themselves. So it can be a pass it on effect.
Yes, and it's so interesting you say that because I really find modeling that self-care has made my son very aware of it. I started doing a lot more yoga recently, and every day I'm like, okay, I'm going to go do some yoga. And he jumps on his tablet and he'll come in and kind of, look around and go under me when I'm doing down dog or, like just be silly. But I keep doing it. And he sees that mommy's doing exercise, mommy's going for her walk, mommy's doing this. And, it's something I talk to my students a lot about is that you can't take care of someone if you're not taking care of yourself. You can't run on empty. And that's true with anyone, even if you're not in a caregiving position. You can't be your best self if you're running, with the gas tank half full. You have to fill your tank with whatever it is that sustains you
Mm,
every day. You really do. And that's not being selfish. That's being, self-aware. That's being, self-interested.
yeah, 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 yeah. It's yeah, so important. Fantastic. So before we started recording, you showed me a piece of artwork that I loved. I would you it to everyone, please? This is a piece that Stephanie has done herself.
So this is the style of work I do. Like I mentioned, I am a part of, they're kind of on hiatus because of the pandemic, but I do abstract acrylic backgrounds and then I do mixed media over them. And I have a series called the Girls series. So there's about probably close to 20 of these paintings of all different girls with all different sentiments. And they're all meant to be encouraging and thoughtful words to kind of help you feel better and keep moving.
Yeah.
So,
It's
yeah,
so
I really love it. And I'm creating a whole line of cards of these, like greeting cards, and I do prints. I make my own prints at home. I have a um, professional printer, so that's part of. I love doing all that technical stuff too. So it's fun to be able to do both.
it's just so amazing the power of words. Like just those 4 words, "You are so loved." I feel better, you know? And I'm also a huge, huge fan of inner child work. That's been something that's been in my own past. I think that's hugely powerful. So those blending those 2, I just think it's so therapeutic. So where can we see your art? Where can we maybe buy your cards and your art? And where can we find more about you?
Well, I have a website, stephaniemartel.com. Martel is my maiden name. It's actually my son's name, so it's kind of serves double purpose. And so you can find all my blog, and I have a few different e-courses on there. One is a free course, and it's how to kind of get back to yourself. So that might interest some of your viewers. And I'm also on Instagram, and I'm on Facebook too. But I generally spend a lot of my time either on my blog or on Instagram.
And you
So
have
it's
an Etsy,
Martel.
you have an Etsy shop too, right?
And an Etsy shop, sorry. Yes, that's where I sell all my prints and my cards. And that's just Steph Martel. You can just Google that Etsy and then it'll come up.
Wonderful. I will be linking the website and these things that Stephanie has all mentioned down below, so you can catch them there. I This has been so wonderful. This has been so cool and helpful, and I think just this blend of creativity and self-care is so helpful to anyone. Like I don't think you need to be an artist to go after this kind of life. Would you agree?
Absolutely. I mean, creativity comes in many forms and everybody is creative in their own way. You just have to figure out what your creative is.
Hmm, cool. Well, thank you so much for talking to me. This has been so cool.
It was a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Okay, take care, Stephanie.
Bye bye.